Good morning, doctor. Welcome back.
Good morning, Venkatesh. Nice to be with you again.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you. So the topic for today is habits. And we thought we'll pick this up because last week we were talking about hobbies. And we talked about how hobbies actually built and reinforced good habits. Habits, therefore, are the core of consistently leading a balanced life. And so we thought we might as well sort of delve a little into that topic. So that's its connection to balance. Habits give us the automaticity. I mean, it allows us to be automatic in doing a bunch of good things for ourselves. And so let's look at that a little bit. Over to you, doctor.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Now, let us see what definition. Are you okay? Yeah. The definition of habit came all the way back from Aristotle. Aristotle was the wise man of Greece and the wise man of for over many centuries. And whatever he said was gospel truth and is still gospel truth. So let us see what Aristotle has to say about habit. We are what we repeatedly do. We are what we repeatedly do. Yes. Excellence, therefore, is not an act but a habit. Now, if you repeatedly do things and good things, then you excel in them, it becomes a good habit. Habits can also be bad, that we will see. But presently, we are more interested in developing good habits. Yeah. Yes, Venkatesh, you said something?
No, I was just saying perfect. I think he was a wise man because this articulation is, awesome. Repeatedly. We have to do it repeatedly. That's when it becomes a habit, and that is the root of all excellence. Perfect.
Right. Okay. Next slide, please.
Yeah.
And during the Greek era, Heraclitus was another wise man who came out with the. He said, rather controversially, and you can argue about that, but he said, no man can ever step in the same river twice, for it is not the same river and it is not the same man. Now, this may sound very crazy, but it has been proved to be true time and again and again.
Correct.
So, for example, when you say you are stepping into a river, you assume that you are stepping into a river which is just there, not doing anything. But then the truth is, it's not the same river and it's not the same you.
Yes.
It's not the same river is understandable, but if you say it's not the same you, it is very difficult to digest. But we realize it in practice, And any comment, Venku?
No, I think this is again a very important point, and the connection to habit is that our habits, if they are good, we are improving constantly. So even if we entered the same river, we are better equipped. If we have bad habits, we are declining, and therefore, if you enter the same river, we are less equipped. And so that's how I'm connecting it to habits, that we have to constantly make better selves of ourselves. Even if the same situation is there tomorrow, we are better equipped to deal if we have better habits.
Right. Very true. So Heraclitus was the wise man who said
it. Yes, wise man of Greece. Yes.
Oh, yes. Wise man of Greece. There are other wise men around.
Yes, we've been talking about the Gita and the wise men of India who put it together.
Yes, very true. Now, very roughly and very broadly speaking, there are 3 R's of habit formation.
Correct.
What are the 3 R's? One is a reminder, another one is routine, and the third one is reward. And you'll wonder what it all means. It means that for a habit to start or to get established, somebody has to remind you, or you yourself have to remind yourself. This is the thing. One has to remind oneself. And then the act of habit formation starts. And it starts, and it goes through a routine period. And then with the routine nature of things around you, you get a reward.
Correct.
Say you want to form a habit of getting up at 5 in the morning.
Correct.
So somebody has to remind you, either the alarm clock reminds you or your wife or father or mother or somebody reminds you. So
Correct.
somebody has to trigger the
Got
thought
it.
process, trigger the process, very process, physical
Correct.
process and mental process both. So
Correct.
that is happening subconsciously, and it is constantly happening when you
Correct.
go to office, you go to to see a movie or everything. There is always a trigger,
Correct.
and if you squash the trigger, then the habit formation will not happen and it will be
Got it.
corrupt, truncated. So that
Got it.
reminder has come, and it is coming continuously 24 by 7 by 365. The reminder is coming, and you
Correct.
are following the reminder, and we are not aware of it.
Correct.
Something is reminding you, and that is a Heraclitus way of looking at things, and you are getting reminded time and again. And then you go through the routine. That habit, act of habit is a routine,
Correct.
and that gives you a reward. It gives you something good to go by.
Correct.
And the more strongly you are entrenched in that cycle,
Correct.
the better you are in habit
Correct.
formation.
Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
Next slide, please. The same thing said in a slightly different manner.
Correct.
Habit cycle is what it is. Just saw that.
Correct.
And the cue. Now you
Correct.
say cue, like, this, give a cue for in the cinema or drama or something. There is a
A
cue
stage
card.
actor gets a cue. Correct.
Yeah, cue card. That
Correct.
cue card hmm, triggers your action, and
Correct.
that action will lead to reward, similar to what
Correct.
we saw in the slide. And that
Correct.
is how the whole thing gets sustained. Has to get sustained. Habits
Correct.
will have to be sustained. If it
Correct.
is not sustained, it's not a habit.
Correct.
It doesn't. There is no time to settle down with a habit like
Correct.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. Next slide,
A
please.
thought comes to me here, which is important, and I know you're going to touch on it later, but just to set it up, the rewards may or may not be constructive. And that's why it is important to distinguish between good and bad habits. In
Right.
good habits, the reward is a good reward. And therefore, but it quite often takes some time. In bad habits, the reward can be a, sort of excitement, what they call a dopamine hit. And you get that benefit more easily, which causes you to respond to that cue sometimes in a not good way. That's a bad habit. So you can have a vicious
Yeah.
cycle or you can have a virtuous cycle, but both of them
Right.
are characterized by the same thing. There is a trigger.
Right.
You can
Right.
either take a good action or a bad action. For example, you
Right.
see some sweet or you see something attractive to eat. That can be the cue. Your action can either be to train yourself to go away from it or to go and pick up one. If you pick up one, the reward is of a high, and that's an immediate high. On the other hand, if you walk away, the reward is delayed. It's a topic later, I guess, delayed gratification, that you will get healthy and one day you will get the benefit. But at that instant, you need some other reward. And I guess that is, I thought, one important point to make here, doctor. Make sense?
Right. Right. Absolutely. And it all depends on value system. You know.
Yeah.
Depending on what values you are born with and are bred with,
Correct.
you get a positive mindset or negative mindset.
God.
So, what do you do with habits?
Correct.
Habits are necessary to leverage your action, and you keep changing your habit to get better results, improve results, as Venkatesh just now said.
Correct.
There is a change cycle going on. Again, going back to Heraclitus, it is not the same you, it is not the same habit, it is a habit multiplied by an infinite number of things. And
Repetition.
if you are changing your life, then you are bound to change your habit, and vice versa. If you are changing your habit, you are changing your life. Now, these go together, and in the light of what Venkatesh just now mentioned, you change, you gain or lose something, you change, you gain or lose something, this cycle goes on and on and on. So let's slide, please. Now, the word habit, habit has a sort of resonance in medicine.
Right.
And in medicine, you can have a drug that is addicting you.
Correct.
Drug addiction is a very, very bad habit. It's a fatal habit. It will ruin your family, ruin everything. There is
Correct.
drug addiction, which
Correct.
is the bad form of it. In
Correct.
contrast, in medicine, we use the word habituation, which again
Correct.
contains the word habit. The habituation, like say, drink coffee. You get habituated to that. You drink more and more and more coffee, but there comes a point, even with habit alone, you are ruining your health, you are ruining your mental health, you are craving, and
Correct.
you are almost touching upon addiction. But
Correct.
medically speaking, these two are distinguished. Any comment, Venkatesh?
No, very, very apt point that the habit, especially, and I guess we use the word addiction for things that we don't control, uh, and also typically negatively. I mean, I guess good habits can become addictive is one way of looking at it, but that's not when we use the word addictive. We use addictive when it's a destructive habit. And when it has
Right,
gone out of control and it has become so automatic that we cannot keep it in control, that's an addiction. So that I
right,
guess is the difference between, and I guess that's the medical difference as well. Yeah.
correct. Yeah. So, here is a bit of a semi-jocular slide. Opium coffee. Coffee is
Correct.
supposed to be habituating, you know.
Correct.
And but if you keep on drinking coffee, like all these power drinks, energy drinks and all that,
Correct.
bull, all
Red Bull.
bulls
Red
and
Bull. Red
yeah,
Bull.
yeah.
Yeah.
So all those things, they are habit forming, but
Correct.
they can become addictive, you
Yeah.
know.
Correct.
In
Correct.
day-to-day parlance, in fact, in the parlance of so many people on so many topics,
Correct.
habituation blends into addiction and vice versa,
Correct.
depending upon the degree to which you exploit it. So
Correct.
he is joking,
Yeah.
opium coffee. Coffee by
Correct.
definition cannot be opium, but you can
Correct.
add opium, like that. So
Correct.
next,
Yeah.
please. Now, if you want to cultivate a habit, now people say, I want to do something good, I want to learn something, I want to cultivate some good things. How do
Correct.
you cultivate a habit? How do you cultivate a new habit, particularly? An old
Correct.
habit remains cultivated,
Correct.
and if you perpetuate it, you are cultivating it, and
Correct.
it's a good thing.
Correct.
So this is what you see with so many things. People practicing like Sachin Tendulkar will practice his cover drive
Correct.
200 times. A surgeon will practice his suturing 1,000 times and so
Correct.
forth. But these are all new habits that are being cultivated time and again.
Correct.
And they should be kept cultivated. They should be
Correct.
kept sustained. Hmm?
Correct.
How do you do that?
Correct.
Frequency is more crucial than duration. Just like Venku said,
Correct.
you have to do it more often rather than just more intensely. For example,
Correct.
if you're going to the gym once a week and burn yourself out for half an hour or whatever, and then come back and have a beer or do nothing or smoke or whatever, that is not going to help you in forming good habit. You
Correct.
have to do it regularly. If you
Correct.
don't get the time, doesn't matter. Do it for, as in some other session, Venku said, you
Correct.
have you only 5 minutes to do a dumbbell session, or you only half an hour to do a music riyaz.
Correct.
Do it
Correct.
rather than yeah. So any
Postponing and say
comment?
that, oh, unless I get half an hour, I will not do only. Absolutely. That is the single most important thing, I guess, in our session. Correct.
Right, right. So frequency is more important. If you do every half an hour, every day, whatever, it's a lot better than waiting for one big thing in the gym once in 10 days, because that's
Correct.
not going to work anyway, like that. So cultivation of a habit, it depends upon frequency of the habit being enacted. So that is uh,
Oh,
called-
I thought I'll supplement it, and you were referring to that point. I think I have heard you over my entire lifetime, the last 50 years, always talk about small doses, right? At different times, I remember even 50 years ago, there was this 20-minute exercise routine, 10-minute exercise routine. We had that book in our house, if you remember, right? The
right,
US
right.
Air Force 5-minute, 10-minute drills. And I think
Yeah,
you've been saying lifelong that, do exercise snacking if required. Do it anytime in the
right,
day. Do it, right? Do 5 minutes, do 10 minutes. And
right.
now, more recently, people have given this award. There's a book we discussed in another session called Atomic Habits, where they've
Yeah,
just given this a label saying it doesn't even need to be 10 minutes. Make it 2 minutes, but
right,
do it because that then incentivizes you to do it more often. All of it is this point which you're making. Make it more
right,
frequent. Don't set such a high bar. Unless I do 1 hour, it's not worth doing. That is the easy way to not get frequency.
right. Very true, very true.
Perfect,
Next slide,
perfect.
please.
I've seen you do this, so I when I heard it first time, I said, okay, I've been hearing this for 50 years. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now, given the nature of habit as a phenomenon and as a practicing punching bag, if you like, yeah,
Right.
that habit will have to be part of your routine.
Correct.
It has to happen again and again every day, every day. Now, if you read Stephen Covey or if you read anybody at all,
Correct.
Tom Peters, whatever, the secret of your future is hidden in your routine.
Correct.
So you have half a minute to do something, you do 10 seconds one thing, and the remaining 10 seconds you utilize it. It's a time management ultimately. It boils down to time management. But you don't have to put it like a management thing. But it is there and you, yeah.
No, so one important point that's coming to me, I wonder whether we're going to touch on it after this. So just going back to your slide on cues, right? Cues and triggers. See, cues and triggers are both good and bad, and sometimes they are not visible. Let's say, for example, the cue to do to do exercise is not a very obvious cue or an obvious trigger. We need a reminder, like you said, like that alarm clock to get up. And making something routine, actually almost sort of our body recruits its own cues. So the importance of routine is that when every day you sort of do something again and again, you're self-generating your triggers or cues. Okay, I get up, I start brushing my teeth, right? You don't even think. You finish brushing your teeth, you go to the bathroom or whatever else you do. In the same way, if you know, oh, I have to do exercise in the morning, without even thinking, that routine is very crucial to enforcing one frequency, which you just talked about, but also creating a queue where there is none, right? Otherwise, you are looking for a queue, right? Somebody will call you, Arey, come, let's do exercise. But if there is no such person, you have to do it. That's your routine. I thought I'll make that connection to the previous slides.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is all in the brain. The brain triggers everything. Ultimately, you should remember the triggering of personality, triggering of behavior, etc., originates in the brain.
Correct.
And the better trained and better groomed, cultivated your brain is, the better it is. So you have to activate your brain as much as you activate your body. Then the habits form, stick.
It will then be its own alarm clock. Yeah.
Yeah. We are our own alarm clock. As Shankaracharya would say, you are your own Brahma. You don't go running for to Kashi or to Varanasi or any other sacred place or anything. You have sacred places right inside your heart, etc., etc. Now, when you are sort of cultivating habits and consolidating habits and hobbies, you have to get rid of the old stuff. This is the most important. Learn to get rid of the old stuff which is detrimental to you, or at least not useful to you. So the old habits have to be kicked off. And this is where your emotional attachment to old habits, will hurt you. Because people say, oh, that was good. What I did in February was good. What I did in Varanasi was good. If you keep looking like that, if you keep looking back, your old habits will not die, and there is no room in your brain for your new habits. So for new to set and establish, you require to kick off the old habits. And that happens automatically if you are properly disciplined. Your 24-hour cycle can only accommodate this much and none else. So your old habits have to be discarded or jettisoned, and your new habits must take their place. And that new habit should be positive. Yeah, that's very important. You may pick up a wrong habit, have a glass of beer every half an hour or something. That's not going to help you like that. Next slide, please.
Before you go there, I thought I'll add a point to this diagram. What you said, there's one other angle that this diagram is showing us. Old habits are like gravity, right? They have got a power. Habits are powerful because they have a force. And old habits have got a force like gravity. They will always pull you towards the old habits. New habits is like climbing up the stairs, right? It is to be done against gravity. So until the new habits have become entrenched, you are fighting your old habits to get the new one. right? And hopefully the assumption is that your old habits are not good. You're putting them away to get the new habit, not vice versa.
Absolutely. Actually, the old habits give you the zone of comfort. What is comfort
Yes,
zone is,
correct,
yeah,
correct. So that
you
you
get
can form
stuck
the
in
right
that.
new habits. Hopefully,
Yeah,
if you're sorry, yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, if your old habits are good, in a manner, they are pulling you up. If your old
Yeah,
habits are bad, in a manner, they are pulling you down. But one way or
right,
the other,
right,
habits are powerful. Therefore, you have to be careful
right,
which ones you make.
quite right, quite
Yeah.
right.
Sorry, doctor.
Here is a certain habit that costs you nothing.
Right.
It is a smile. Now you'll say you'll laugh at it. You'll think that it is not a habit at all.
Right.
But do you know that 90% of us spend 90% of our time using maybe with a frown or some funny state of
Yeah.
mind, and
Negative
they don't.
expression. Yeah. A negative or like they say a resting face, which is negative. I mean, there is a more colorful version of it, but yeah, a negative resting face.
Yeah. So there are quotations and misinformations about how many muscles of your face get activated this way or that way. But we need not get into the 45 muscles or 20 muscles, whatever. You
Correct.
simply say, okay, I'll keep smiling. Now, don't
Correct.
smile the way the beauty queens will smile their plastic smile, like Vivek
Correct.
Oberoi said, those
Right.
smiles are plastic. And
Correct.
we even say, please. Those plastic smiles won't help, but if you have a
Correct.
genuinely half smile also,
Correct.
it is going to be of immense value in habituation, habit formation, habituation. Your
Correct.
own smooth muscles or voluntary muscles or whatever can establish a
Positive.
continuing smile,
Correct.
and that gets built in. It gets absolutely fossilized, but it is a good habit. It
Correct.
costs you nothing. And people will be surprised, oh my God, this fellow seems to be in a very good mood. Well, he has nothing to do with mood, but he has learned to smile properly, and that builds into this.
Correct.
So you'll be surprised that if you develop a habit like smile, it can
Correct.
get entrenched and it can
Correct.
modify your personality. Your
Correct.
personality will change. You try it, you'll think you don't, we tend to get cynical. Why do you
Correct.
have to smile, guy who doesn't like me? You
Correct.
don't have to smile at him. Get into the smiling face mode. Ultimately,
Correct.
your face has a mode. And directing it against even your enemy will build your personality. You will be the
Yeah.
gainer, not enemy. It's
Correct.
a very the psychology of smile deserves a hell of a lot of big
Correct. Correct.
cultivation.
Yes.
Next slide, please. So in all, if you have the same old thinking, you will have the same old results. So your thinking
Yes.
has to change, and your thinking has to be positively reinforced. And this
Correct.
is where the cultivation of new habits comes in.
Correct.
So next slide,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. A different way of saying, I guess, the previous one, that
Yeah,
old
yeah.
habits. Yeah.
Old habits die hard. So, old proverb is a proverb actually. Old habits. Yeah. Next slide, please.
It's an
Now,
important one.
yeah. You have something?
No, no, I was saying it's a very important slide. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Now, with everything that you do, you have to add quality, you have to add value. Now, when you're adding
Correct.
value, you have to do it with quality in mind. And quality in
Correct.
mind, body, and soul
Correct.
is the key word in living. So you
Correct.
have to have something quality by way of quality in you.
Correct.
And that will be eventually becoming a habit to you. Now, quality and habit hmm, will have to be blended in such a way that is a quality is not an act. We think that on Monday when I go to the gym or something, I'll have quality in my thinking, quality in my behavior. It doesn't happen like that. You
Correct.
have to build a habit of quality,
Correct.
and these two blend ultimately. There's nothing separate as quality, and there's nothing separate like a habit. It
Correct.
gets blended.
Correct.
And you try it, you will like it, as they say, the Americans would say, you try it, you will
Correct.
like it. So
Correct.
Aristotle said this, so we
Correct.
can say it like a Yankee, with Yankee
Yes.
accent, if you say it is good. So it is a habit.
Correct. Correct. I think a
Aristotle
very,
again.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, so in fact, I think a statement again I've heard you make or other folks make related to the same thing. There
Yeah,
is quality in quantity. And what
Right.
that means is that sometimes you tend to think that, not quantity, quality. Yes, it's valid. In certain situations, it's valid. But in
Right.
many things, quantity means doing more automatically produces quality. So when it's
Right.
routine, when you're doing a habit, maybe for 2 days you're doing riyaz, as in music practice, without
Right.
your full heart. But it's better to do that on the third day, what your accompanist calls the compounding effect. No, he said
Right.
your the harmonium player always says in Marathi that we put today's practice in the bank, it will give us interest afterwards, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think this quality coming out of quantity is a very important thing for all of us to remember, that habits give you that quantity. Otherwise, every morning you
Right.
have to get up. It's like a recurring deposit. To use Fadke, our your harmonium accompanist, he says, आम्ही deposit मध्ये टाकला in Marathi.
Yeah.
आणि त्याच्यावर आपल्याला interest भेटणार. So for sorry, all the non-Maharashtrians, what this basically is that we put today's practice in the bank, it will give us interest later. But let us put it
Right.
today. Recurring deposit.
Right. Recurring deposit. Yes. Recurring deposit is what is important. Yes.
Exactly. Yes, yes, doctor. Go ahead.
What is life about? First, we form habits.
Correct.
Life is that you are forming new habits. When your baby is crying, the baby becomes a boy and then a man and then an old guy. Yeah. So
Correct.
there are habits accompanying all these stages. And at every level, you are forming habits and then you are putting it in your recurring deposit, as Vancouver would say, or the harmonium player would say. So
Correct.
you form habits.
Correct.
And farming takes a long time and it takes an assiduous daily practice, untiring practice. And
Correct.
then you let the habits hmm,
Correct.
conquer you.
Correct.
So you form good habits, they will conquer you. They will, in fact, they'll be the interest of your deposit,
Correct.
etc. So we form the habits and then they form us. Now,
Correct.
when you allow the good habits to form you, that's a very pleasurable, positive, sattvic development within your mind, body, and soul.
Correct.
So conquer your bad habits or they will eventually conquer you. So the idea is to eliminate negative values. Nakaratmak, we call this nakaratmak in Indian parlance.
Correct.
Anything nakaratmak is not good.
Correct.
And you replace it with sakaratmak, with
Correct.
anything that has value, that has
Positive value. Correct.
positive value. They eventually conquer you, and that is a conquering that is very good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you, your family, your
We are
friends, your
reshaped. We are conquering ourselves. We are conquering our
neighbors.
lesser selves. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, there is an old Yiddish proverb. Yiddish is actually an old form of German. It is still being spoken in some interior
Yeah.
parts of Asia. And
Associated with the Jews. Yeah. Associated
the
quite
Jews.
often. The Yiddish were the last guys or the most common guys to use Yiddish. Yes.
Yeah, so it's a sort of distorted German or whatever. German would say it's a distorted Yiddish or something. But basically, these are very old habits, whether you're in Africa or you're in Scandinavia or where. Many of these proverbs are full of wisdom.
Right.
And those will comes in a very pithy, punctuate manner. And it says the good things. We have many proverbs here in our Indian ethos,
Right.
and they say the same thing in different words. Bad
Correct.
habits are easier to abandon. Hmm? But
Yes.
they are easier to abandon today than tomorrow. So don't wait
Correct.
for that
Correct. It will
tomorrow will
become
never
stronger.
come.
Bad habits will become stronger tomorrow.
Like
This is the
Kabir's,
whole. Yeah.
yeah. Like Kabir's Doha, hmm, uh, काल करे तो आज कर. So you are planning to do something tomorrow.
Correct.
काल करे तो आज कर. आज करे तो अब. Whatever you are planning to do today, do it
Correct.
now, right now.
Correct.
कल में परलय होएगी. In any moment, any second, things can go wrong, like the
Correct.
plane crash in
Uh, Azerbaijan. Or what?
Azerbaijan.
Correct.
Azerbaijan. So do it today, do it now, do it right
Correct.
now.
Correct.
And do the good thing right now and bad things. There is another Sanskrit saying, Shubhasya Shighram,
Yes.
Ashubhasya Karanam. Shubhasya
Ashubhasya.
Shighram,
Say that again.
Shubhasya
Yeah.
Shubhasya means a good thing.
Correct.
Shighram is good, quick. Good things to be done quickly.
Correct.
Ashubhasya means not so
Yeah.
good things. Kalaharanam, let it get, no, postpone it. Ashubha is what things you keep postponing till it even vanishes from your radar screen.
Awesome, awesome. I'd heard the first part and never heard the second part. Yeah, yeah.
That part is not often mentioned. There are many of these duets or something which don't get completed, like you have
Complete.
Karmanya
Sorry.
Karaste, like that.
So good. I think we've reached the end of our session, and I guess maybe sort of the end of our overall allocated time. So,
Right.
any closing thoughts before I summarize, Doctor?
Yeah, you summarize it now. You are okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I think what we did was, habits is actually not a topic for one talk. It's a talk. It's a topic for many talks, and it sort of is sprinkled also in many of our talks. Uh, Habits are these things that we do automatically every day, which give us our routines, and our routines in some ways form our overall character, our overall, our overall selves. They can be good or they can be bad. uh, we keep getting cues of different sorts from everything around us. Uh, we should use those cues to do the right thing. In doing that, what is most important is consistency. It doesn't matter if you do it for 2 minutes, do the right thing for 2 minutes every day. And as we were discussing, it becomes a recurring deposit that pays you interest, and will keep on helping you upwards. Uh, we will keep revisiting this in the context of balance. It can be something as simple as a smile, like Doctor was saying. Practice smiling, right? Just smile. Practice your hobbies, as we discussed in our last one. Practice eating right. And in a manner, therefore, by the end, what will have happened is you would have been reshaped, and hopefully the bad parts and the bad habits would have receded into the background and maybe become nothing at all. Yes, Doctor?
Yes, absolutely. Good. So thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.